Is up, guys? We are back. Thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of Any Action Sportscast. My name is Effie, and this week we'll be going over UFC Vegas 56, Rozenstruik versus Volkov. Before we do that, guys, make sure you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We're almost at 100 subscribers, so let's get that number up. So far this year, after 5 months, we're up 26.35 units. We're looking to keep it going. But we are coming off our first losing event in 6 weeks. Before we get into this week's card, let's break down how UFC Vegas 55 went for us betting-wise. Our night at UFC Vegas 55 got started by Sam Hughes cashing as an underdog at plus 125, 1 unit to win 1.25. Then we had Hooper versus Karolina. Fight goes the distance, minus 105, 1.05 units to win 1. And shout out to Chase Hooper, man. He really impressed me and got that finish. It was looking good for a while there, but man, sucks to lose that bet. That was a loss. Then we had Parker Porter and Jonathan Almeida over 1.5 rounds, plus 100, 1 unit to win 1. And he was surviving on the ground until he got finished in the first. Shout out to Almeida. He looks like he's the real deal. Then we had Michel Pereira, minus 115, 1.15 units to win 1. Now, this was a greasy, close decision, but I was glad it went our way. Michel came out and won 2 rounds, and, you know, could have gone either way in my opinion, but I'm glad to come out with a win on that one. And guys, we had Holly Holm riding on 2 different bets. We had her via decision, plus 100, 1 unit to win 1, which obviously was a loss. We also had her to finish a parlay where we had 1 unit to win 1.11 units. Victor Martinez, who cashed, and Holly Holm. And now, guys, I won't cry robbery. I'm not going to say that Holly Holm should have won that fight. I honestly thought she did watching it live, but I'm not going to say it was robbery because how close it was. When a fight's that close and it gets judged that way, you know, you got to be able to live with the decision either way. She just didn't do enough to win, in my opinion. We ended up going 2-4 on the night, guys, for negative 1.8 units. In the main event this week at UFC Vegas 56, we have Alexander Volkov versus Biggie Boy Rozenstruik. Line currently sits Volkov, the favorite, minus 155, and Biggie Boy, the underdog, at plus 125. If you look at the tail of tape right away, the big thing that sticks out to me is that Volkov's going to have a huge experience advantage here. He's 34-10, whereas Biggie Boy is 12-3. Now, I feel like everyone already knows what to expect in this fight. Can Biggie Boy knock out Volkov? This fight will be happening at the UFC Apex, and it's a 25-minute fight. It's a 5-round fight. In my opinion, that's a long time for Volkov to try to avoid getting knocked out. Rozenstruik is an example of a guy that can lose every minute of every round and then land one shot and win the fight. He's a moment winner, whereas Volkov, to me, is a minute winner. He's going to have to pick apart Rozenstruik from the outside and really push his way to the decision here. I don't think he can finish him, but if he does, I think Volkov to get a finish will happen in the later rounds, 3, 4, 5. I don't think he's going to spark him early here. Now, if we look at Volkov's last fight against Tom Aspinall, he got ran over. Tom Aspinall just looked like $1 million, and Volkov got worked. You know, no way around it. But in my opinion, if you look at everyone that's beating Volkov, Tom Aspinall, Cyril Gane, Derek Lewis, and Curtis Blades. Other than Derek Lewis, all of those guys are championship level fighters in my opinion. And Derek Lewis is the one that poses the most similar threat in terms of who they look like as Biggie Boy. And everyone knows that Volkov's winning that fight for the whole fight, and they got clipped at the very end, literally the very end of the fight. So, if you're going to bet this fight, you got to bet Biggie Boy to win by knockout or Volkov via decision. And considering that Volkov's only been knocked out twice in his entire career, I got to say, I think he's going to be able to win a decision here and avoid that big shot. I don't really like Biggie Boy's low volume style of fighting, kind of relying on that one shot. It reminds me of Tyron Woodley, but in the heavyweight division. But if he does win, it would mean that he won inside the distance, and then this fight didn't see the cards. So I do think that Volkov should win this fight, and I do think that he might be safe for a decision here. So I'm going to go with my official pick, Volkov via decision. In the co-main event, guys, we have a fight that, in my opinion, is going to be a pure banger. Talking about Dan Ige taking on Mosvar Evloev. Now, the line currently sits Mosvar, the crazy favorite, minus 400, and Dan Ige, the underdog, coming back at plus 300. Now, if you know anything about Mosvar, you know why he's a big favorite. If you know anything about college football or college basketball, sometimes in recruiting, there's these 5-star blue-chip prospects, and that's exactly what we think Mosvar might be here. He's a relentless, undefeated Russian wrestler, whereas Dan Ige is a known UFC commodity. He's had 12 UFC fights, and I'm shocked to see a guy with that much of an experience edge be that much of an underdog here. And it's not like Dan Ige is a bum. He's a good fighter. He can really fight. He's well-rounded. And he has the experience edge as far as the quality of opponents he's fought. Guys, Josh Emmett, Calvin Kattar, Korean Zombie, Gavin Tucker. This guy's fought a lot of good names in the UFC. You know, granted he's not winning all those fights, but guys, being in there is worth something for sure. I mean, Nick Lentz had Mosvar Evloev in a vulnerable position multiple times. Like I say, unless Dan Ige can spark Mosvar, he's probably going to get taken down and held on the ground for 3 straight rounds. Mosvar, in my opinion, has one of the best gas tanks in the UFC. And also, his wrestling, guys, is unreal. His brother actually medaled in the Olympics for Russia. They're no joke. His wrestling is legit. And the fact that in 12 UFC fights, Danny Gay has allowed 12 takedowns, I really do think that Mosvar is live for a decision here. Now, if you look at the betting line, he's minus 400, and that's way too risky for me. An up-and-coming fighter where I do think that he's going to win, and I'm not going to try and get him his way on his way to a championship title probably here soon. I'm betting against him. But I got to find a different way to bet. I was looking at the over, and over 2.5 rounds is minus 300. Fight goes to decision is minus 280. But Mosvar Evloev to win by decision is minus 150. And I think that's the way to go here. I think that if you could take a minus 400 here, take him down to minus 150, that's worth the value here. When you look at the, where is he going to finish Danige? Danige has never been finished his pro career. 20 fights have never been finished. So that leads me to believe that, he has a Hawaiian toughness, a Hawaiian chin, and plus he's competent on the ground. The submission threat might worry me here, as I do expect a lot of, transitional opportunities to present themselves here. But I gotta say, I really do like Mosvar via decision. And up next, guys, we have Mike Trizano taking on Lucas Almeida. This should be a good fight. The line currently sits Mike Trizano minus 230 and Lucas Almeida, the underdog, at plus 135. And we all know Mike Trizano from winning the Ultimate Fighter season finale and having way more experience than Almeida. We've seen way more of Trizano in the UFC Octagon. Lucas Almeida has had one UFC level fight in those Contender Series where he lost, but he's been just crushing the Brazilian regional scene. He's 13-1, and all of his wins have been via finish. One of them, it doesn't say whether it was sub or knockout, but the other ones are all equal. 12 recorded finishes, 6 knockouts, 6 subs. Pretty even down the line. But guys, his level of opponents, in my opinion, is nowhere near Trizano. Trizano's coming off losing to Hakeem Duwadu, who I rate Hakeem real high. I mean, Hakeem is really good. Fought Luis Pena, fought Grant Dawson, Ludovic Klein. He just fought way better fighters. And my thing is here, if Lucas was to win, he would probably win via knockout. And I don't think that's going to happen, considering that Michael Trizano has only been knocked down 0 times in 5 UFC fights. So unless he can get this guy down and choke him out, I don't think that Almeida is going to be able to win via finish like he's used to. He's probably going to get extended here, and I do think the guy with the more UFC experience should win this fight. I don't have a strong opinion either way, but I'm going to go ahead and lean Mike Trizano via decision. Now, this is the point in the card where we start to question the UFC's lineup. Why are some fights on the main card? Why are some fights on the prelims? I have no idea why this fight's on the main card. But it is, so let's talk about it. Poliana Botelho versus Karine Silva. Line currently says as a pick'em. I gotta say, I actually do think I have a strong opinion on this fight. I really like what I'm seeing out of Silva in my tape study. He has 14 wins, 4 losses, all 14 wins inside the distance. He has 8 TKO wins, 6 submission wins. Her ground game is really impressive. Now, Botelho, it will be the bigger fighter, and she should have the striking advantage here, but it won't be that big in my opinion. And I think the grappling advantage will be big in favor of Silva here, whether it be on the clinch, along the cage, or just flat out on the mat. I was surprised to see the over at 2.5 rounds, minus 180, considering how much Silva seems to be able to finish her opponents. Now, in her 4 losses, she's lost to some pretty, semi-good to average fighters, but they've been close. They've been kind of fluky situations. It's been weird. I really liked what I saw out of her. And Botelho, she's good, but I wasn't as impressed. So to make it short, guys, I'm going to pick Silva. I don't know if I'm going to have any action on it, but I will pick her via 3rd round submission. The next fight will be Alonzo Menifield versus Askar Morozov. The line currently sits Menifield minus 155, Askar, the underdog, plus 135. I gotta say, I really do think Alonzo should win this fight. This guy, Askar, is making his UFC debut, and he has the most weirdest tape. There's not much footage on this guy. He's been fighting in the regional scenes, but he's fighting straight bums, guys. Look at his resume. Let's do it right now. First of all, he's fighting out of a league called the Professional Pancration Championship. He's fighting bums. He's 24-7, and he was fighting guys that were 5-0. Guys, round 1 finish, 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 round 2, round 1, round 1, round 1, round 1. Guys, he's finishing these guys early. He's fighting straight bumps. Alonzo Menifield has been in UFC. He's had, extensive UFC experience. He has 9 UFC fights, and granted he's not winning all of them. But guys, he's fought guys like William Knight, Ed Herman, Fabio Sharon, Ovin Semprou, Devin Clark. Whereas Askar, his level of competition is nowhere near Menifield. Now, let's say the truth here. Askar probably, in my opinion, does have better striking than Menifield. He probably can knock him out. But if he doesn't, he's gonna lose. And I think he does. I think the right person's favorite here. I think Alonzo's a better mixed martial artist here, whereas Askar is a better kickboxer. I think Alonzo should be able to get this fight along the cage and just extend this fight. And if he does, he should win this fight. I'm interested to see how Askar's power translates. If this does get extended to the second or third round, I'll be interested to see how he looks. Because my opinion, if it gets past the first round, he just quits. He just folds and throws in the towel. It is a little bit of a red flag that Alonzo has shot 10 takedowns in UFC and he's only landed 2. But I gotta say, I gotta go with a proven UFC vet here. My pick will be Alonzo Menifield via decision. And up next, guys, we have the people's main event. Let's talk about Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Felice Herrig. Line currently sits Kowalkiewicz minus 120, Herrig plus 100. I'm going with Karolina Kowalkiewicz here. But I gotta say, I do not want to talk about this fight. We have one fighter that's almost 37 years old in Karolina, and one fighter that's almost 38 years old in Felice. Neither fighter has won a fight in 4 years. One fighter hasn't won a fight in 5 years. Karolina hasn't won a fight in 5 years, and the last win coming against Felice. I have no idea how this is on the UFC main card. I have no idea how this is even booked, and I have no idea how anyone out there could even bet on this fight. There's absolutely no reason to touch this fight, but I will say, for the sake of the show, I'm going to go ahead and give you the over and Karolina via decision. This is absolutely low-level MMA, women's MMA, and I do not advise betting on this fight. Like I said, we have a 37 and 38-year-old fighter with their last wins coming 4 years and 5 years ago. This is unreal. One fighter in Felice Herrig is coming off 2 knee surgeries. And the other fighter, Karolina, is on a 5-fight losing streak with like 2 semi-retirements in there mixed in. Absolutely not touching this fight. But for the sake of the show, like I said, we'll go ahead and go Karolina over and Karolina via decision. Up next, guys, we have Joe Solecki taking on Alex De Silva. Line currently sits Solecki minus 170 and De Silva plus 150. I gotta say, guys, I really do think the dog is live. I like Silva at plus 150 here. Now I'll explain. I feel like everyone's really banking on Silva to gas here. We all know that he's known to fade during rounds 2 and 3 after coming, strong on the first rounds of the fight. But in my opinion, if he can just avoid his gas tank issue here, he should win this fight. Granted, Joe Solecki is a good fighter. He has more UFC experience, has fought more in the UFC, and has fought better opponents. But in my opinion, he might be a little bit overrated. I really do think that the line should be closer to a pick'em, and I think there's value on De Silva. The striking is 50-50 in my opinion. The grappling is 50-50 in my opinion. And although Joe Solecki is supposed to be this jiu-jitsu black belt, he doesn't really use it off his back. He got controlled against Jerry Gooden and Joe Miller. Granted he submitted Austin Hubbard, but in my opinion, if De Silva can get to a top control position, he might be able to bank 2 rounds here. And if he does gas, then hopefully he already has those two in the bag. I really do think that his power advantage should help him here. He has a 3-inch reach advantage. But at that line, I really do like De Silva. So I'm going to pick Alex De Silva via decision. Up next, guys, we have Damon Jackson taking off the short notice Dan Argueta. Line currently sits Jackson, the crazy favorite, at minus 500. And Dan, the underdog, on short notice, at plus 375. I gotta say, props for Dan taking this fight up a weight class on short notice, because I think that Damon Jackson's gonna finish this fight. I think that Damon Jackson inside the distance is a great bet here. Let's talk about it. First of all, Dan's gonna be going up a weight class, and the way he fights, that's gonna be a huge problem here. He's a grappler. He loves to grapple. He loves to get his fights on the ground. And I'm not saying that Damon Jackson can't get taken down. He could definitely get taken down, and he could definitely lose minutes on the ground. But the fact will be that he's bigger than Dan. He's gonna be the bigger fighter here. Plus, he has a good gas tank. And Dan, in my opinion, has a little bit of a suspect gas tank. We obviously saw him fight on The Ultimate Fighter and lost. But since then, dude, he got his chops and he got his wins. He, licked his wounds and, took care of business. He went to LFA and got 3 straight wins. And now he finds himself with the opportunity to take a UFC fight on short notice. Damon Jackson is definitely beatable, but I think that he's going to cruise to the decision here or finish the fight. I think that a finish is likely here, but I think it might come in the second round. My pick will be Damon Jackson via TKO round 2. Up next, guys, we have Ode Osbourne taking off And up next, guys, we have Ode Osbourne taking on Zarrukh Adashev. Line currently sits Osbourne, the favorite, at minus 170, and Adashev, the underdog, at plus 140. Now, this is an interesting fight to break down because you would think that Ode Osbourne should win this fight. He has an 8-inch reach advantage, and Zarrukh Adashev is 4-3 in his professional MMA career. I was shocked to see him get the UFC call. I believe he was 3-1 when he got the call, and he got thrown to the wolves. He got knocked out by Tyson Nam, and he lost to Sumadarji. Just came off beating Ryan Benoit, where his striking actually looked really good. In my opinion, in this fight, the striking actually is going to be 50-50. Whereas, you know, Ode Osbourne will have that 8-inch reach advantage. In my opinion, Zarrukh really impressed me against Sumadarji. Sumadarji is good in my opinion. I rate Su pretty high. And the fact that he looked pretty, well-rounded and competent in that fight leads me to believe that his striking is pretty good. But I gotta say, guys, his regional wins aren't very good. And Ode Osbourne has way more professional experience. Like I said, guys, he's 10-4 versus a fighter that's fighting 4-3 in Zarrukh. If Ode would, show some high fight IQ and Syndicate MMA has a good game plan, I do believe that he can get this fight to the ground. Obviously, Zarrukh's, more dangerous realm was on the feet. So it'd be smart for Ode to, try to get this fight in the clinch and on the ground. Maybe get a submission here. But I do trust Ode, the more experienced, well-rounded fighter. Whereas I think that Zarrukh is more of a stand-up only fighter. I don't really think that he's going to be any sort of a threat on the ground. So I'm going to go ahead and lean Ode Osbourne via decision. Next, guys, we have a fight between Benoit Saint Denis and Niklas Stolze. Line currently sits Saint Denis -160 and Stolze +125. I gotta say, this is a classic striker versus grappler fight in my opinion, where Denis is the grappler, Denis, and Stolze is the striker. I do think that Stolze will have the striking advantage here, but he's only 2 in the UFC, and his only 2 UFC caliber fights he's lost. He's looked bad in both fights, and I really gotta say this is more of a fade on Niklas than it is a bet on Denis. I do think Denis is gonna win a decision here because I do think that he's gonna be able to get this fight to the ground and drag out a decision here. I'm not impressed by Niklas at all, so like I said, I'm gonna go with Denis via decision. And up next, guys, we have a fight that I'm very much looking forward to. Talking about Jeff Molina versus Zhalgas Zhumagulov. Line currently sits Jeff Molina -170, Zhumagulov +150. Now I lean Jeff Molina here, and I'll tell you why. Zhumagulov is very reckless. He has a crazy pace to himself, and he doesn't have very high fight IQ. Whereas Jeff Molina, to me, has all the skill sets to be rising and on his way to the top 15 one day in the division. He also has Jim Krause in his corner, and I love betting on a fighter with a good coach and a good gym in his corner. I do think that he has a power advantage here as well, but Zhalgas does have the experience advantage, has fought some pretty good high-level fighters, but also, like I said, he has low fight IQ. He's a fighter that's famous for doing all those nut shots, and I forget what fight it was, but one of his fights, he got like 18 nut shots in a row, and finally got a point taken away. I mean, he's very reckless and very, I don't know how to explain. He's very reckless when he goes into the exchanges. I guess you could say he's well-rounded because he does have some good grappling, but his gassing is in question, in my opinion. I don't know how he's going to look in round 3 if this fight does get extended. I think Jeff Molina's live for a finish in this fight, but I do really like him to win this fight. I like that price, and I gotta say, we'll go ahead and pick Jeff Molina inside the distance. And to open up the UFC Vegas 56 card on the prelims, we actually have a fight that I think should be on the main card. JJ Aldrich versus Erin Blanchfield should definitely be on the main card. In my opinion, like we talked about earlier, Erin Blanchfield is a legit blue-chip 5-star prospect. Let's get into it. Line currently sits Blanchfield, the crazy favorite, -600. Aldrich, the comeback, at +415. I gotta say, that's a little wide, but I do think she's gonna win. This is one of those fights where you gotta take the method of victor here. I do think that Blanchfield is gonna win, but it's just how is she gonna do it? Is she gonna finish the fight, submit her, knock her out, or win a decision? I think she's gonna win a decision because JJ Aldrich's grappling is no joke either. She's pretty good. But guys, I'm just super high on Erin. I am shocked to see this be the first fight of the card. I mean, there's going to be times where she's going to be in maybe submission threat positions, vulnerable positions on the ground. But I don't know, man. I think she's going to cruise to the decision here. Like I say, I lean Erin Blanchfield via decision. And that'll wrap up our UFC Vegas 56 full card breakdown. Now it's time to go over our official bets for this week. And I gotta say, guys, it's kind of a light week. So far, we only have 2 bets that are locked in. But I gotta say, I feel like more bets are gonna roll in throughout the week. So make sure you guys follow us on Instagram and make sure you guys follow us on Twitter. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and let us know who you guys have this week. Who do you think is the lock of the week? Now it's time to go over our 2 bets that we have locked in for this week. So far, we're sitting on Mosvar Evloev via decision. -150, 1.5 units to win 1. We also have Ode Osbourne, -170, 1.7 units to win 1. Like I said, guys, we only have 2 bets so far this week, but I do expect to bet more. So make sure you guys follow us on Twitter. Like I said, we're 5 months into this channel this year. We're up 26 units this year, and we're looking to keep it going. The Warriors are in the NBA Finals, the Tampa Bay Lightning are in the Eastern Conference Finals, and the Avalanche are in the Western Conference Finals. All three of those teams will win the series and take all of our UFC bets. I'm sure we're going to cash all three of those as well. This is Any Action Sportscast. We'll see you guys next week. Peace.